Good afternoon. I'm Dr. Debbie, founder of A Wise Woman's Guide, and today we're going to talk about what men won't say that women need to know. Men don't use a lot of words, but they do communicate constantly. The problem is that we often think we know what their behavior means, and we miss the mark completely. One of those things that we miss the mark on is whether or not a man is even feeling anything at all. The reason that we can't really tell is because he's really been trained not to show his emotions. That's the number one rule of being a man, is don't be weak. So he's going to hide his emotions. He's going to avoid talking about them. He's going to do everything possible to solve a problem without addressing emotional material. It's just one of those things that happens. And the reason it does is from a very young age, he got shamed for having vulnerable feelings. And that doesn't change when he grows up. As a man, he still carries this huge fear that he will be shamed if he expresses his vulnerability. So he keeps it inside, and instead of processing it and dwelling on it, he looks for a solution. Now, when he pulls away and he's inside processing within himself, you can get the impression that he didn't hear you, that he's not listening, that he doesn't care, that he doesn't even feel anything. And nothing could be further from the truth. Every man feels intensely. It's just the expression of those emotions that is a problem. And you're going to hear me talk about this over and over again because it's like the number one thing we need to understand about the men in our lives, whether they're, newborns or they're, your great grandpa. It doesn't matter. Those feelings are right there. They're on the forefront, but they have been shamed out of expressing those emotions. So when we come along and we want to have a conversation with a man and we want to know what he's thinking and feeling, he's not going to share that with you. Instead, he's going to share with you what he does with himself. He's going to give you a solution. And when he tries to give you a solution, how do you end up feeling? Often we feel, as women, we feel dismissed, we feel discounted, we feel like he's being condescending. Even I've heard that one a lot. But we don't really respond to his problem solving in the way he would like for us to. But that's how he's gotten through life, is he has avoided talking about his emotions and he's gone straight for solutions. So he's going to share that with you as well. And it can be very, very frustrating, and it can make you feel very disconnected. And again, it can make it feel like he's really talking down to you, when what he's doing is he's giving you his own solution for emotions. And most often that happens when you're being emotional. So when you're rolling along and you're feeling, angry, sad, hurt, afraid, all of those things, or even guilty or ashamed, any kind of vulnerability that you express, he's going to avoid talking about it. He's going to avoid dwelling in it. He's going to look for a solution, and then he can end up feeling like, he's just trying to fix you, or he's just trying to shut you up. And the truth is, again, he is taking what he uses as his own strategy and he's offering it to you. Because from his point of view, you don't seem to understand how to reason your way through anything. Now, we know that's not true, ladies. We know that we are very good at solving problems. What we're looking for is we're looking for someone to just listen to us and care about how we're feeling, and even to validate our feelings. So when you're doing that, you can get yourself into trouble when you're talking to the man you love, because he doesn't approach emotions at all like you do. Okay? So that's the first one, is that even though he's very quiet, even though he doesn't talk about his feelings, trust me, ladies, he has feelings, very deep ones. So that's point number one. Another reason that men don't talk much is because they tend to be focused in on one thing at a time. Now, I know you've had this happen to you. You are talking with your husband and he's watching television, or he's driving the car, or he's working on a project and he's not responding to you, and you think he's ignoring you, he's stonewalling, I gotta tell you, he's probably not even hearing you because of that extreme focus that he's zeroed in on whatever it is that he's doing. And to you, it may seem like not a big deal. I probably half a dozen times in the last month, I've heard a woman say, I tried to talk to him. We were on this trip and I tried to talk to him in the car and he got angry. And she couldn't figure out why he would get angry when they had all this time to be able to talk in the car. What she didn't realize was that he was already focused on something else. Now, it may have been the driving, it may have been how to get from point A to point B, or he could have just been preoccupied with something else, and she invaded his space, and he just didn't even hear her. The other thing that I think is really funny, I'm kind of chuckling about it because men do something I call go into the zone, and they zone out. It's one of the ways that they're able to decompress and to release all of this emotion that is still, remember, it's still coming at them in a very big way. But they have an ability to disconnect from that and to go into a zone. They can do that while they're watching TV. They can also do it while they're driving the car. They can do it while they're working in the yard or doing something else, and they go into a zone and don't even hear you. When they're in that mode, the only way that you can really penetrate that is say, hey, do you mind if we talk about something? I have something I want to share with you. And wait for his response. And if he says not right now, then don't do it right now. Go, okay, we'll talk later. Give him that space to be able to make the transition, because men do not flow back and forth easily between tasks or between ideas, between emotional stuff and problem solving stuff. So we've got to allow them the right to go back and forth. Does not mean that we have to never talk about what's on our mind. We need to let them know we have something to talk about, how long we're going to need to talk about it, what we want the outcome of that conversation to be, and then ask for a specific time to do that. So when you do that repeatedly, you will find that he will be much more likely to engage in the process with you than if you just, as a man puts it, blindside him with some big problem. Now, to us, it doesn't feel like blindsiding. It's just a conversation. It's the way we talk to one another. It's the way we talk to everybody else in the world except him. It doesn't work that way with him. So we just need to be aware of that and plan accordingly. Okay? How he addresses problems with you. Now, this one's a tough one, and I had a theory about it several years ago. I actually wrote a blog post about it, posted it, and asked men for feedback. And they told me I was spot on. So I'm going to share this with you. A man does not give his wife feedback for two reasons. First of all, I should say feedback about herself, about her relationship. A man who really loves you is not going to want to hurt you, and he's not going to want to make you angry. And the chances are, when we get some criticism, I know I'm the same way. When we get criticized, we feel hurt and sometimes can cry. Other times, we can get angry and lash out. And neither one of those is a good response for getting feedback from a man. He will really stop doing that because he doesn't want to face the fallout, if you will. So putting yourself in a position where you are strong enough to hear what he has to say is going to be really important. Again, he's not going to use a lot of words, and you can't always tell by his actions what it is that's going on in those deep waters in his soul. But you can learn more about men, and you can be stronger as a woman. One of the things I want to work on with you in the coming weeks and months is how to build yourself up as a woman, how to feel secure in who God created you to be, so that you can have a more open conversation, not only with the man you love, but with everybody. And you're not as afraid of criticism. It's not going to hit you as hard as it does making you feel hurt, making you want to cry, or making you want to lash out and get angry and go, well, yeah, you think that about me. Well, here's what I think about you. So those are kind of two extremes. It's hard. It's really hard to listen to someone give you feedback about something they don't like about you, especially personally, and take it into consideration and change if you need to. And if not, then realize that it's just a difference that they have with who you are. So it's a touchy subject, and I think it's especially hard for women who are already bombarded with the need to do everything perfectly. And we strive so hard to do everything perfectly and put up the image that we have got it all together and we can do anything, which is a little bit different than what men address. You know, we are much more criticized for what we do or how we look, whereas men feel like they are criticized for who they are. Really different ideas. So, you know, man's supposed to be strong and confident and capable of getting everything done. Women are much more likely to not just everything, but everything, everybody, you know, work, kids, home, cooking, finance, everything. We just have it all piled on us and we're spinning plates constantly. You know, men tend to focus in on, am I being a man? And that is the primary driving force of I think where men are coming from, where for us it's much more about multiple things that we've got to try to get done at the same time. And we try to do it all perfectly, and it just doesn't work. I could list a bunch of things I'm not doing real well right now, but that we'll save that for another day. So that the reason that men don't tell you how they feel about what you're doing, they don't give you feedback, they go silent, is because they want to avoid hurting you and they want to avoid making you angry. The solution to that is for you to get stronger so that you're more confident and you can take the hits, if you will, from anybody who wants to come at you without lashing out or falling into a puddle of tears. You know, one of those two things. We really want to be able to receive feedback, take it into consideration if it fits, and if it doesn't, let it go and move on. So, last but not least, I want to tell you, I hope you will watch The Wonder of a Man. I'm adding to it all the time. So, subscribe and click the bell so that you can know when something new is being released.